Gentlemen, I've brought you here to discuss the Eastwood problem.
It may be necessary to penetrate the Vinny Eastwood show.
The Vinny Eastwood show.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Well, I've been working on a new Vinny scene. I think that might be the kind of penetration we need.
The Vinny Eastwood show. Sundays, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Live on Ground Zero Radio.
Welcome, ladies, gentlemen, and hermaphrodites. My fellow slaves of the global plantation. The Vinny Eastwood show is bad news. It's like the news, but so much worse. It's the lighter side of genocide. Just because we're being exterminated doesn't mean we can't enjoy it. Otherwise, what's the point of being killed? The Vinny Eastwood show, where the only thing worse than living in a high-tech global police state run by child trafficking Satanists is Vinny's jokes.
And welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Vinny Eastwood Show. Broadcasting live on YouTube, Twitch and Facebook on Mondays 9 a.m. for those of you in New Zealand, and that would be Sundays at 3 p.m. for those of you in the good old California coastline. That's Pacific Standard Time, in other words. Now, today I've got one of my mods on the show. Others may join, they may not, and such is the nature of being a mod. Sometimes you're there, sometimes you're not. But when you are, you know, you've got a job to do. Today is about the meeting of the mods and how to be a good moderator, you know, that sort of thing. Because a lot of people don't know this or maybe appreciate it quite as much as perhaps they should. That your chat rooms and your websites and anywhere that people can interact, social media, Telegram, etc., are full to the brim with incredible people that are great at finding things and posting them of an eclectic nature that really enriches those who have access to those threads and follow them. There is also, however, people with fake accounts, right? Bots and things of that nature. DK, you're coming in there. You've got your radio in the back there, so you might want to mute that or mute your microphone now, please. In fact, I don't have my thing live just at the moment for it. So you might want to mute that or mute your microphone. Yeah. Sorry, DK. Can you mute out there? Cheers, bro. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So,
awesome.
Just mute your microphone for the moment, please. I'm just doing a little bit of introduction as to what the show is about. So yes, the whole idea of having mods is to keep out those fake accounts that are like spreading crypto scams or something like that, and they're voluminous. You know, most of the times the comments on the threads and things of that nature. Again, DK, can you mute your microphone, please, bro?
Sorry, I thought I did.
Yeah. And the work of the moderators is to, you know, constantly, and this is actually quite a big job. They don't get enough appreciation for that. The amount of those spam accounts and bot accounts and so on and so forth is actually quite significant, and there has to be constant attention to find them, report them, block them, delete them from the groups and things of that nature. You know, it's a big job, and it's like never ending. It's like being a parent. And this whole element is also inclusive of people, real people who are not that great at civil communication. Okay, now it's all very well to have a disagreement with somebody. and to put your facts and evidence out there and have them reply to them and put their counterpoint across. This is what the technical definition of an argument, all right? It's when both of us realize that we don't know what the other person knows, and we're going to compare notes in the hope that both of us learn something. That's an argument. However, according to Psychology Today, sadists, narcissists, and psychopaths are the basic personality profiles of what is commonly known as a troll and trolling behavior. This is because the sadist wants to hurt you, okay, and they enjoy seeing you in pain. So you may have seen this when you're online and somebody is replying to a comment that you've made with some sort of perjurious insult, some sort of painful, nasty, bad, moody, inducing sort of comment. And it ruins your day sometimes to see comments like that because of the true viciousness with which they are delivered. And if you reply and the sadist hears your hurt or sees it in your reply, they will get pleasure from it. They'll actually get a dopamine response in their brain, which will make them feel good. That's why they keep doing it. And they can't be reasoned with or bargained with and said, hey bro, can you just tone it down just a little bit? I'm trying to actually have a civil argument with you here. They don't want that. They want your attention so that they can hurt you and feel that hurt reflected back to them. That's what a sadist wants. The narcissist and the psychopath too want your attention, and they will say mean and hurtful things seemingly out of nowhere. And because your brain, unlike a computer that is connected to the internet, there is no firewall. Okay, if there is input, you will immediately start processing it in your brain places, ladies and gentlemen. You see a nasty comment, your brain will immediately process that nasty comment. You cannot avoid it. Okay? Large breasts bouncing on a woman as she jogs in slow motion down a beach. All right, there you go. There's the image in your head. You had no defense against it, did you? You see? This is how it works. And that is why mods are key. Good mods are key to keep trash like this, who ruin the vibe, out of the places where everybody congregates. There was recently a study that I was made aware of about negative people and how it affects group dynamics. They have a group of people, 6 people, and they are all positive people, okay? They don't fight, they don't accuse, they don't start crap, and they monitored their progress on tasks that they were to perform together, and they got a baseline. Then they took one of the 6 people out and put a negative person in, and then the new baseline was 40% less productive than the original one. Like practically half your productivity goes away if there's even so much as one negative person in your field of influence while you're trying to perform a task. Okay? None should be allowed. You want to have a productive life? You want to get your shit together? Keep negative people the hell out of your life. It's very simple. And that is why mods are so crucial. That's why I value them so much. That's why I try to give them thanks and praise, because everybody talks about this being a thankless job. Well, it frickin' shouldn't be. Keeping negative people and crap off of your streams so it doesn't change everybody into a low vibrational state and argue and stuff like that. They're not paying attention to the broadcast then if that's happening. Okay? This is why moderation is absolutely crucial. This is why the Vinny Eastwood Show block list on Facebook, it takes like a day to scroll through. I've got thousands and thousands and thousands of friends on Facebook, and I think my block list might be equal, if not greater than that, because there's that many negative people who don't got anything better to do than go and try to get a rise out of me. And I'll tell you what you'll get from me. You didn't hear me say anything? Exactly. Okay? You get nothing. You get blocked, you're gone. Okay, because I don't want that negativity in my life. I don't want people destroying my productivity. All right, it's a simple formula, and it's been working quite well. And I hope that a lot of other people who are listening to this, who have their own broadcasts and things like that, and they're like, oh, maybe I don't want to moderate the comments and stuff like that. Mark Passio's taken it a step further, where he doesn't allow comments at all. You know, that way you don't even need mods. That way you don't have to read those negative comments and immediately have them put into your brain places. That's the hardest part of being a mod, is you're literally trying to look for those negative comments and things of that nature. And that goes into your mind too. Sometimes you might enjoy arguing with the people and trying to set them right, or at least exposing them for what they are and how they're wrong for everybody to see. That can be fun. But at the same time, you're still exposing yourself to toxicity, okay? And anything that exposes you to toxicity is something that you should avoid, generally speaking. Now, that doesn't mean to say you should avoid conflict at all costs. This is about having a base, okay? If you've got a base, you need to have your guards. You need to have your walls, you need to have your entrenchments and your defensive weaponry and stuff like that. That's what the broadcasting thing is trying to do in Figment, right? But when you're actually at war, you're not just safe at home base and stuff like that. There ain't no rules in war. And we are fighting a war, ladies and gentlemen, a war for the minds and the hearts and the gut of humanity. That's what the generative principle is all about. That's what that G in the middle of the compass and square for Freemasonry stands for at the higher levels. The generative principle, Genesis, your ability to create, is the central guiding principle. How do you do that? How do you generate something? How do you make something happen? It's very straightforward when you think about it, but that's why people have not been taught it, because it makes them powerful, and everybody who becomes powerful becomes dangerous to an establishment that doesn't want them to have any power. If you're able to align what you're thinking, what you're feeling, and what you're doing, your brain, your heart, your gut, that's when you're able to create things. I'm thinking about doing this radio show. I feel like it's the right thing to do, and now I click the mouse and type in the keyboard the things that I need to do to make that happen. Boom. That's the generative principle in action right there. And you've got your own version of it. You have your own style. You have your own capacity to get things done in your own unique way, and that's what you should be doing. And if you're not doing it, you're making a compromise against yourself. You're not compromising anybody else, you're compromising yourself. And Dr. Leonard Coldwell tells me that that is what causes cancer. Making compromises against yourself. Don't do it. Figure out what you got to do and start creating. Now, my two mods that we have on the line here, DK and Alan Mosedale, know about this. DK does live streaming 24/7. I believe he's the first New Zealander to actually do this online, and I believe he holds a personal record for the amount of time somebody's been banned off of platforms and that includes both the amount of times he's been banned from specific platforms and the amount of different platforms he's been banned, including being banned before he'd even done a broadcast on one particular platform. and Alan Mosedale is he's a butcher, a baker, a candlestick maker. No, he's just a baker, and he makes amazing leather work, and he does his own radio show online as well. And both of these guys are my cherished and wonderful mods. And if guys, you be kind enough to unmute yourselves, we can get along with the broadcast here. All right, there we go. Sweet as, guys.
G'day, folks.
Got you here.
Hey, Vinny. Hey, Ellen. How goes it, guys?
G'day, mate. Yeah. Thanks for having the mod squad on, mate. It's good to be here. We as you were right, we all have our certain style sort of thing, and we do different sort of things, But yeah, it's all reasonably important work, I think. And yeah, DK especially, 24/7. He's always doing it, man. He's fucking DK. You're a legend, allegedly.
In my mind.
Yep. So, what do you reckon, DK? What's the plan for today?
I must admit, what an awesome introduction, Vinny. As I could not have introduced myself better than that. That was absolutely amazing, brother. That was so cool.
You're welcome.
I was actually just talking about like the mod thing last night, strangely enough, on my show. I was going on about the reason that I actually started becoming a mod and everything, and how I first got on social media. The way I first got on social media, because I was not on social media. I just looked up everything myself, and I wasn't on any social media stuff until after the George Floyd thing happened in 2020. After that, I started watching some YouTube channel that was multi-streaming all of the footage they could find live from all the protests and everything. Within 2 weeks, I ended up being a mod on that channel. So that's how I actually started modding anything, was during the BLM Antifa riots in 2020. So that was how I first actually started modding everything. And believe me, that was an eye-opening experience. It's why I'm so good at what I do.
Yeah.
Because if I could deal with that as the first thing I had to deal with, that was crazy. The next place I ended up being a mod was on someone who was like a pro Q person on DLive, and he got millions of trolls. But they turned up because he actually was the reason I streamed 24/7, because he streamed 24/7. And all these mods would turn up, and it was obviously a bot farm type thing. All these mods would turn up basically as soon as he went to sleep each night. So he needed people in a different time zone to keep an eye on the bots when he went to sleep, because he's in America, so, 16 hours difference or whatever. So I'd basically be modding his channel while he's asleep. And I had to, they turned up every week at the same time. Every single week, a whole bot farm. That was crazy. That was heaps of fun. Yeah. But see, I work differently with trolls. Most people just ban them instantly. I try and abuse them so that they want to leave.
DK, the world famous troll hunter. I've seen him really take down some trolls big time over the years, and he's a class act.
I hear.
Honestly, my channels get almost no trolls. I think my reputation does actually precede me. I get almost no trolls anymore.
Yeah, I think there's even a movie in the works about DK with Mila Jovovich coming out soon in cinemas next year.
I actually called that guy out before he was even president. I said he was full of shit. No one believed me, thought he was awesome. Nah, he's a sellout WEF piece of shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, the World Economic Forum and all those. Yeah, you heard
but that's the funny thing. I actually did. Everyone thought he was going to be awesome, and I was like, nope. No, this guy's absolutely full of shit.
Yeah,
and it wasn't until he got voted in as the president that he turned around and proved it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you can sort of see that with just about any politician that sort of gets voted in. They're all, wonderful. They're the great saviour of our nation. And then they get in the office and then they get told what they have to do. Yeah, let's face it, all the recent, well, not necessarily the recent, all the US presidents, they've all done the same thing. They've promised lots of shit, and once you get in the office, so politicians, you might, like, I really feel sorry for the Americans at the moment, and have for a while, because let's face it, but not just them, but all of us in the Western world, the choices we get between bad and badder or dumb and dumber, what's the go there?
To be honest, and I hope this doesn't get you in shit, Vinny, but to be honest, the way everything's looking is anyone who's going into government is pro one of two things.
Yeah, Israel.
And one of them is Zionism. The other is the Muslim Brotherhood. So you're either looking at the Zionists controlling everything or the Muslims wanting to control everything. Everything in every Western nation right now.
Wouldn't it be nice if we could all control ourselves? You know?
But see, there's no option. There is no actual option for anyone in any country to actually vote for, if voting even counted, but to even vote for someone who supports their own country. There is no person that actually is for the people of their own country right now.
Well,
in any country, except for Israel.
Well, I would dispute that to one degree, and that degree is people like Senator Malcolm Roberts, right, or Congressman Ron Paul. You have these what you might call incredibly gifted people who, for some inexplicable reason, and I'd like to get these guys on the show to actually find out what that reason is. Yeah, they're able somehow to operate in a system that restricts creativity and destroys freedom whilst decrying it and standing against it. Right? It's like being milk in a bucket of water. Right? How did these guys prevent themselves from dissolving away and becoming one mixed up with the whole? I want to know how that happens, because at the same time we have a look at, say, for example, the Milgram experiments, where you would have, in the first part of the experiment, somebody in a white lab coat from Harvard University, very, very clear authority figure, telling you to electrocute somebody if they got something on a quiz wrong, up to the point of killing somebody. And they found out that 90% of people, just because an authority figure told them to do so, would kill another human being. But the second part of the experiment is less well known, where they had the 10% of people who refused to deliver those lethal electric shocks, or refused to continue, refused authority, and they showed those people refusing to the next people coming into the test. And an amazing reversal happened, where suddenly, because they had an example of somebody successfully resisting tyranny, they developed the courage and the spine to stand up. Also, 100% of them decided not to deliver that right? So this is why the establishment generally looks at people like me or Billy TK or Counterspin or Free NZ Media here in the New Zealand sphere, and of course Senator Malcolm Roberts or Julian Assange or Ozzy Cossack and various people all around the world who have stood up for truth of about one particular vein at least, and have had the hammer come down on them quite significantly. Because I'm pretty sure if that experiment had really been ahead of its time, it was very, very useful to have that knowledge and have that dynamic explained to people. But what if there was a third part of the experiment with, what if the person who refused to deliver those electric shocks instead got beaten over the head with a mallet in front of the next people coming into the experiment? This is what we call the chilling effect. People can see. People aren't stupid. I mean, they're really stupid, but they're not that stupid that they can't see that they can't see, hey, if I stand up and do this and such, that'll happen to me. Yep, nope. So you see all the people that stand up against the quote-unquote Islam threat, where they want to bring in Sharia law everywhere. They want to treat women like property and force how they dress and things of that nature. They can't walk around by themselves. They mutilate their genitalia, stuff like that. If you're not in favor of that, they do horrible things to you if you speak out publicly, right? And death threats are just the beginning of it. You know, there's women out there who've spoken up against it publicly, who've been violated by groups of Muslim men, I'm sure. If not, the fact of the matter is we've got 220,000 immigrants that came into New Zealand last year alone. This is a country of 5 million people. Suddenly you got 200,000 other people who weren't living here, weren't educated here, don't know our culture, don't fit into it. What's going to happen? They're going to set up their own independent communities because there's enough of them to do it. Okay? And that's going to fracture the entire country. You try campaigning for an election in 53 languages. Okay? You can't do it unless everybody speaks the same frickin' language. And I'm not talking about just using the same words like in English or something like that, but really speaking the same language, really understanding each other and where people are coming from. That sort of thing. It's going to break apart social cohesion. It's going to introduce a lot of racism and violence and suspicion and distrust, and that's basically just the beginning of it. And that's assuming one group doesn't just take over, which if history holds and the experience of other Western nations does hold, that'll happen here in New Zealand too, because of the amount of children that they have. All right, they conquer your country by the sword or by the womb. That's what it says in their holy books. Okay, they are going to outpopulate you, and then you are going to wind up living under Sharia law and being henpecked by your neighbours and surveilled. It's basically like religious communism. All right, they're just a complete control structure, top down. And interestingly enough, if you're talking about this, because it isn't really about religion, it's about dark occult mysticism. The heads of these organizations for Islam, Judaism, and Christianity worldwide happen to belong to secret societies like Freemasonry, the Club of Rome, the Committee of 300. These are the people who are actually really controlling these religions. The whole idea behind religion is to get a central core of truth, something that's true, that there is a God, and you should be doing good with your life in order to pass things on to the next generation, and you need to have honor and decency and courage, right? Pretty much it, right? So what you do is you have that nougat, that core that all religions hold in common, and then you fracture it with all these other differing beliefs so that everybody won't realize the core of what they're really here to do in general and start getting into little fights about all these little peripheral issues. That way, humanity stays fighting amongst each other so that those people who rule behind the scenes can continue to do so without anybody realizing they're doing it. This is the definition of conspiracy in the legal textbooks. Okay? 2 or more people coming together to cause harm on another group of people without that group of people knowing it was them. All right? That's the definition of conspiracy, ostensibly. And so when people say the word conspiracy, it's got this connotation that, oh, because it's a conspiracy, it doesn't exist. No! I'm afraid that conspiracies do freaking exist, okay? By very definition. And the definition I have for conspiracy theorist is a person who believes, absolutely believes, and cannot be convinced otherwise, that powerful people who have a lot of influence use their power to maintain and grow that influence. All right? That's a conspiracy theory. Sounds really insane, right? And on the opposite end of the spectrum, you have the coincidence theorist, somebody who believes that everything happens by accident. There's no such thing as deceit or backroom deals, and at some point in the middle of the 20th century, all the wealthiest, psychopathic, plutocratic, oligarchical, scumbaggery filth that the world had ever produced up to that point had a profound realization. They had a big meeting, and they go, gentlemen, I think that we've got enough money and power now. We just need to give the world back to the people and let them be free. It's just the insanity of not believing that such a thing as conspiracy and deception and backroom deals and higher echelons of power and control is completely and utterly palpable. Right? We are faced with an epidemic of mental illness, and this is what happens with chat rooms, this is what happens with social media, this is what happens with the break apart of the family unit and the loss of social cohesion, is it causes people dis-ease. Okay? And that manifests itself as mental illness. And I'll tell you now that we are all mentally ill, especially in this movement. All right, and don't think that that's an insult. That is a compliment, because it is, as Krishnamurti said, it is no measure of health to be very well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. Okay, like seriously, if you
that makes perfect sense.
To be honest, if someone actually subs on my DLive channel, then the title thing that I've got is Crazies, and I actually seriously. It seems like we're talking about all the things I talked about last night. This is crazy. It's like, my title for people who follow is Crazies. Because if these mainstream people call us crazy, I take that as a fucking compliment. Because look at them. Serious, look at them. Yeah, call me crazy. A couple of other points to cover though, Vinny. Did you see that other experiment where they got a group of people, divided them in 2, and made half of them prisoners and half of them prison guards?
Yeah, that's the Stanley prison experiment. Yeah.
They actually had to shut the experiment down because the people they made prison guards became so drunk on power that they actually started beating the other half of the people that were in the experiment.
Well, actually, and there's a further story to that, and this is you know how love is important. The woman who told Stanley Milgram to stop that experiment, she had looked at all of this abuse that was going on and all of the suffering that was actually going under these students who had volunteered for this experiment. And she went to Stanley Milgram and she says, "You've got to shut it down. Look at what's happening." And the interviewer asked Stanley when he told him this, "What did you do?" And he goes, "Well, I married her after I shut down the experiment."
You know the hypnotist Darren Brown?
I'm afraid not.
Well, he's the one who did live shows where he hypnotized people, and over a period of several weeks, he got people to go from being like some manager or something at some company to actually robbing an armored car or killing someone.
Very nice.
And he did this on live shows and stuff to work out who was going to be susceptible enough he actually used the Milgram experiment as his test to see who was going to be a fitting test subject.
What a horrible human being to do that, to just destroy people's lives in that way, and
make a whole TV show out of it.
Well, that just goes to show how good our media is, isn't it?
Believe me, it is worth watching. But afterwards you had to deprogram these people.
Yeah.
Like he actually had to spend however long, like his whole team had to deprogram all the people that he had fucked with.
Yeah. That's sad. Yeah. And people enjoy doing that, you know? Yeah.
Well, people enjoy watching it, so that's why other people keep doing it. Same as Vinny was saying before, it's about that dopamine hit. The attention from people leads to worse behaviour.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's something I've been thinking a lot about lately is people's personal problems. And I saw this video and it was talking about the difference between how men deal with problems and how women deal with problems. When women talk about their problems, they feel better about them. When men talk about their problems, they actually feel worse about them. When women do something about their problems, they feel worse. When men do something about their problems, they feel better. Right? That's why when guys have got problems, they shut up about them and they just get the job done, mate. Because that produces testosterone and human growth hormone, which has a dopamine quality of its own. Like, for example, there's a point of completion in a project. Let's say you're editing something or whatever. And at the point where you're not quite finished yet, you'll have cortisol being released into your body. It's a stress hormone. It starts to eat away your muscle to try and burn energy out of it to keep you going. If you've got to run away from a predator that you can't just immediately sprint from, right? And when you finish the project, however, all of that cortisol stops being produced, and then you get these massive buzzes of euphoria and dopamine, much different to how we usually get our dopamine from, say, social media use or drugs or sex or anything like that. It's a long, slow burn. You get satisfaction from what you're doing it, but you have to go through that stress chasm in order to get that satisfaction. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but you have to suffer in order to actually feel any pleasure. Okay? It's true. Our suffering and our pleasure centers are very, very closely aligned and interlinked. So the more you suffer, and the more pain that you experience, the more hardship you go through. When that hardship or pain ends, or you get some sort of relief from it, that relief gives you huge amounts of rewards. This is why we can't be too soft on ourselves. We can't be just sitting around and trying to placate ourselves. We need to be challenged, we need to be hurt, and we need to struggle, and we need to accomplish things in order to actually be satisfied with our existence.
Yeah, well, for part of an example there, like at the moment I'm doing a bit of work on my bus sort of thing, and there's always little problems that turn up sort of thing, and you think, how do you fix that? And you think, look, I'll go on to something else. You go on to something else. The next day, that problem will disappear because you'll come up with the answer. Just it'll come out of nowhere, shall we say? You just you've got to, and that little when you finally realise you've fixed that problem, that's a dopamine hit, big time. And that's just the way the blokes' brains work, I guess, isn't it? Because, and well, you see the way women do things, whereas, women do lovely creatures, of course, but I'm glad I'm not one.
I have a saying: we can't all be winners. And so this comes down to another interesting dynamic about women in the truth movement as well, because being exposed to, back to my point on mental illness and how we're all suffering from it as well. Okay, stress causes trauma, right? And trauma has a back-end effect that we call mental illness, in inverted commas. What I would call mental illness is a brain's adaptation to a situation. All right, your brain changes so that if that situation that quote-unquote traumatized you happens again, you'd be better prepared to face it. All right, so like, for example, people with complex post-traumatic stress, that's when you lose control of your life for between, say, 1 and 6 months, depending on the strength of the subject. Your brain and the way that it works will rewire itself. So the way people assess threats in the real world, somebody's coming at you with a stick, your brain recognizes it and goes, okay. Then your brain processes it and goes, oh, crap, and starts to feel something, and then your brain reacts. Do I fight this guy? Do I run away from him? Do I submit to him? Do I attach? Do I freeze? Right? And when you have complex post-traumatic stress, that process is backwards. Guy coming at you with a stick, you immediately go into fight mode. All right, that's it. That's why people with this problem seem so eager and so ready for a fight at the drop of a hat. They go from 0 to 100, right, like that, because it's a survival mechanism. They've been through some kind of instance that was so traumatizing and so dangerous that their brain now knows how to protect itself immediately, even upon the perception of the re-emergence of that threat. Now, it doesn't work quite so well in a social situation when it goes off, all right? This is what we call triggers. All right, people get triggered by things. Somebody starts talking about conspiracy theorists in a derogatory form, or starts rubbishing cannabis, or starts saying 9/11 truthers are crazy, or something like that. I got to admit, I get a little triggered because I'm all of those things, and the
Don't we all?
And so, over time, you have to do what's called cognitive behavioral therapy. Okay, you have to teach your brain to re-engage the prefrontal cortex. That's what does your black and white thinking. That's free from the mammalian cortex, which does your emotion. Because if you're stuck in that reptilian cortex that governs your fight or flight, you're just going to react to things. Okay, you see, react. That's it. But if you're able to think for a moment, okay, I want to kill this person immediately, right? Okay, well, wait, hold on a second. Killing is not that really good. Has this guy actually threatened me? And then suddenly you're thinking again, and then you can process your thoughts, and then you can conduct your actions, so you don't fly off the handle without any measure of self-control. It's a real effort to develop this skill, and by goodness, I used to be a lot worse than I am now. I remember one time back in the day, my sister, when I was starting this show and having trouble with money, suggested I get a loan from a bank, and I started screaming at her about slaves and the banks and the debt and the money creation of debt. Like screaming, you know. We've all been there, you know.
Yeah. I don't reckon they'd give you a loan anyway, somehow.
You know, that's what I figured as well. You know, like the Federal Reserve financing Vinny Eastwood, I don't think so.
But why not?
Yeah, why not? Yeah, well, you'll
They're
give value
such
for
nice
money.
people, and they can print money for free. Why wouldn't they give it to you?
Yeah, well, they can, can't they? Yeah, that's just,
Yep.
yeah. Yeah. DK's only half on the screen. What's to go? You can see lots of me, but there's only half a DK.
Oh well.
Yeah, well, yeah. He's only half as good looking as me, I guess.
Maybe I'm twice as good looking. That's why you only need half.
Well, yeah. You got your opinion. I got mine.
It reminds me of the other night I was talking with a couple of mates of mine. They're setting up a radio station, and they were just testing the call-in lines, and they wanted me to call in so that they could get them tested. And one of them was telling me, "Oh, Vinny, I'm so much better with the technical side of things now. I used to be really slow, but now I'm getting up on things." And the other guy goes, "Yeah, I'm much better with my patience now. I've been working really hard at it." And I go to them, "Well, gentlemen, on both cases, it couldn't have gotten any worse." You should you should have seen it.
You bring him down again.
Yeah.
The only way was up, guys. Like, it was so bad, you couldn't get worse.
And that's something that I think is really important for people to know, is that it's actually possible to change. You can change every single aspect of every single part of you with work. And work is hard, but if you want to change, if you want to learn, if you want to gain skills and practices, anything in life, you have to work at it. And the internal work, the management of your dark side and your light side, right? This is something they talk about, the shadow work. Now, Jordan Peterson was saying about how you have to be dangerous, right? If you're not a threat, then you're not moral. Why not? Because if somebody who's immoral threatens you or tries to murder your family or something, and you're not dangerous enough for them to go, "Oh, maybe I shouldn't because it might cost me my life," then you are not capable of virtue, because you're not willing to do that darkness that sometimes need be done. We all have a shadow side, and there's a reason for its existence, because it is necessary when you are facing even darker shadows.
It's necessary to continue our civilization, especially when it seems like so many people are trying to extinct us.
Yeah.
Well, yes. Well, those scumbaggery. Yeah, there's a bit of that around.
I bet. That stuff is everywhere now.
Yeah.
And that is actually a great point. If everyone is just happy to sit online and just type mean words and stuff and think that's going to accomplish anything, you're wrong.
That's why you have mods.
You're not, but
yeah.
I mean, even us, you're not going to accomplish anything by just typing shit on a keyboard.
No, that's right.
You're not going to get through to people. You're not going to reach people. You're not going to change fuck all.
If
you're not willing to actually stand up and go outside and do anything yourself, you are not going to change anything. You have no hope of changing anything. You can reach people. Yeah, you can reach people and hope it gets through, but that's few and far between. You actually have to get out and do stuff for the real change to happen.
Yep.
This is something I talked about earlier in my show's existence. It was about the frontline troops and the backline support team. Okay, so there are some people who are trained to kill, and they go out on the front lines in a war zone and they kill the enemy because that's what they're trained to do. However, there are some people who are trained to drive trucks that are full of supplies through war zones to deliver to those frontline guys, because otherwise they're going to starve to death, freeze to death, or suffer from treatable wounds and die from those. So those backline troops are the reason why the frontline troops survive, and the reason for the existence of the frontline troops is because the backline troops aren't capable. They're just not capable of doing the frontline guys' job. But without each other, without support and warriors, right, you don't have a cohesive unit that is capable of achieving victory. Now, I take issue with that. I understand what you meant by what you said, is that if you can't just by typing on the keyboard accomplish anything. I agree to that with a certain extent. Now, the written word, the spoken word, on the other hand, can have immense power, and that's why the censorship and things of that nature are so prevalent these days, because people have started to recognize the extent of their own power with the age of the internet and the ability to get inspiration into people. Now, inspiration is different to motivation. Motivation is, come on, keep going, keep going. Inspiration is, whoa. And somebody comes to a realization that motivates them from within. Inspire, like a breath from within, as opposed to respiration. It's inspiration, you see? And that is ostensibly one of the most dangerous things, because you can activate a part of a human being's personality that says the word no a lot. No, I'm not going to let you brainwash my children. No, I'm not going to let you tax people. No, I'm not going to let you have the birth certificate. No, I'm not going to let you inject people with poisons. No, I'm not going to let you give people brainwashing and mind control through the media. No. And then taking steps to provide the solution to that. So there's two things that need to be done. Number one is the job of the backline troops in terms of the media landscape and what have you, is the Hearts and Minds campaign, to use the words of the Vietnam War era. This whole idea is to get people activated in their heart and in their minds so that their gut can then react and get something done. This also, of course, leads back to the fact that your brain, your heart, and your gut have neurons in them. They each have their own thoughts, and you've got to get those into alignment and start getting your freaking gear underway.
That's actually something I need to work on. I'm not very good with emotive speech. I'm better with facts and logic and stuff. And there are a lot of other people who are better with emotive speech. That is something I am trying to work on, and I'm not having that much luck.
Well, you do a pretty good job anyway, generally, of what you're trying to say. You're, except for, of course, sometimes yeah, I see what you're saying sort of thing, but yeah, it's like all things, it's a work in progress. And to be the new media, which we like to call ourselves every now and then, because it's our job to, tell people the truth, to make people realise that things ain't right for a lot of different reasons, and like the support of like voting, for example. If voting did any good, well, they would have made it illegal years ago.
They did.
They did.
Well. Back in 1986 in New Zealand, you don't vote anymore. You just poll. And voting is a legal process, whereas polling is just public opinion. Really? In New Zealand, we don't vote anymore. We go to polls. And I believe that happens in a lot more countries around the world than people realise. You don't vote. You go to a polling booth. That is public opinion. That is not legally binding.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you a little bit of our election we had in Australia recently. There's this Australian party, you know, of Australia One, Ricardo Bosi. Well, there was a big election sort of thing, and he canvassed a lot of voters, and I knew a lot of people that voted for him in my area. And after the election, it turns out that Ricardo's party, on every place that he was standing, he got 0% votes. He just didn't got no votes at all. Not even one person voted for him, apparently, because they had a guy who went through all the numbers and everything like that. And I did some research myself through the Australian Electoral Commission. They've got, you can find out who voted for who. And yeah, apparently no one voted for Australia One Party. What's the go there? Do you mean no one actually voted? Well, no, I did. I'm not. Yeah. Voting is, as I say, it doesn't really do any good. But I think it's you feel better by voting because you think you're doing something for your country or whatever. But for when your government system turns around and just totally disregards someone because they're not in a major party or that they think may be a threat, it does sound a little corrupt.
Sorry, excuse for a sec.
He's got to go exchange fluids, no doubt.
Well, it's there's a couple of elements there to unpack, and first of all, I think you're right in one sense that if voting would work, then they wouldn't allow it. But that is not the whole picture. The whole picture is that they have so many mechanisms by which to prevent voting from doing anything that voting cannot work. And so therefore, theoretically, voting could work if all of those apparatus that actually split the vote, control the vote, distract, demonize, so on and so forth, weren't so tightly regimented and controlled. And that's just what the public is being experiencing. And then on the private end of it, what the new parties and things of that nature who are starting to try and fight for freedom and so forth, they find out that there's so many rules, so many little traps, and so many little rigmarole hoops to jump through that it's actually almost impossible for somebody who's unfamiliar with these things in the first place to even get on the ballot. All right? And even if they do get on the ballot, they're getting so demonized by the media or getting no coverage at all that it's physically impossible for enough people to hear about them and know enough about them to want to support them in the first place. So this is why politics is so strictly controlled. And going back to what DK was saying there before, about this control mechanism and how it really works on people's minds and their bodies, I think. You get into a stress response, I think, when you're going and watching elections. And what this does is it basically programs people into a sort of attack dog. And what Nicky Hager, in his book some time ago, The Hollow Men and Dirty Politics, particularly, understood that the American dynamic of politics, particularly the American dynamic of dirty politics, had a specific mechanism to it that worked on the human mind. That mechanism was abusive trolling, basically. Now, what happens when you've got abusive trolling in politics? There are a group of people involved in politics and involved in the voting public side who love that shit. They absolutely love it. If somebody's having a fight, yeah, I love it, all right? And those people will go even harder and start to give abuse of their own into the fray. But the majority of the voting public are not like that. They don't want to be involved in politics just to sling mud at each other. They want to make it about the issues. They want to get real change. And so what happens is, when they see this dirty politics, and it's basically ubiquitous now, there's nothing but dirty politics, they get turned off by it and stop paying attention to elections altogether. They lose faith. They get disillusioned, which means you're no longer operating under a delusion, which I believe currently, if you believe in the current political system, you are operating under a delusion. Okay? Stop being delusional. Just going. Okay. Let me just explain it to you. If you still believe in politics.
Jump in there for a sec.
No, not yet. Not yet.
Not yet. Is what we are, because they're providing the illusion. We are the ones that are disillusioned.
Well, precisely.
We have seen through their illusion, and we don't just fall for it anymore.
And I've lost my point. Thank you, DK. So, nevertheless.
You're welcome, bro.
Nevertheless, if you believe that the current political system is working and accurately represents people, you are operating under a complete delusion, because the entire system is completely rigged, both in the private, in the legal sense, with all the rigmarole that the parties have to go through, and in the public, in the media sense, that any good party who comes in is basically going to get demonized or detracted or be kept out of debates or something of so forth, so that they can't make any headway. That's basically how it's going to happen. Now, the third stage is if, and it's extremely unlikely, and in New Zealand, I believe impossible, for a freedom-loving party to actually get into Parliament, or any freedom parliamentarian to stay in Parliament for any length of time. Then you have the parliamentary rules that restrict you. You have to make compromises. You have to make pacts to go in with other parties. You have to give up on some of your policies. You have to bend and that kind of thing. On top of the fact that there's even a fourth stage on top of that, right? You've got the rigmarole trying to get elected in the first place. You've got the massive hurdles of the media to get over. Then you've got the massive restrictions while you're in Parliament. And then the fourth stage is all of the extra powers that you don't know about yet. For example, the Queen, or used to, and it's now the King, the power to surveil every single parliamentarian full-time. State intelligence services, that's their job, to make sure that the people who currently have any political representation don't do anything they're not supposed to do. All right?
Sad, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's like shit, what was it? The American politician. I can't remember his first name, but Massey. And he came out and he was the one who said that everyone in politics in America has an IPAC handler. American Israeli Political Action Corps, some shit like that. But yeah, so every single person in America has an IPAC handler who's in politics. Yeah. And he said he was the only one who doesn't have one. Then they kill his wife. No. Then they kill his wife.
Yeah, right.
And now he's photographed standing up with arms around, like, fully dressed Orthodox Jews and shit, since his wife got killed. Right. Do you think that message got through to him? Do you think he realized, holy shit, they really are that big?
Yep. Silver or lead.
Yeah,
all right, guys. Well, it's been a great
Carrot
show.
Or the stick, bro. Carrot or the stick.
It's been a great show, guys. We've covered a lot of ground here, and DK's still been typing in the chat room and keeping the trolls out and stuff like that, even while he's on the show as
trolls,
well.
Bro.
I understand.
I've only
not anymore.
Like
anyway.
about 2 people from this channel.
That was another thing. Is nobody knows I'm still doing my show. Like I've encountered people online and in person who ask me, "Are you still doing the show?" As if I ever stopped, right? Yeah. And it's unbelievable. You get deplatformed.
To be honest, you did get disillusioned yourself a little bit after you got banned.
No,
you did lose a lot when they did that. And yeah, there was a bit of a break, and fuckwits didn't come back and find you.
No, don't call them fuckwits, mate. Like, because honestly, when you're following somebody on YouTube, if that person doesn't put out any videos, you don't get notifications. If that person gets deplatformed, you don't get a notification either. So all you get is all your other suggestions and things like that. So you're just doing that, and occasionally somebody will go, I wonder what happened to Vinny Eastwood, and then keep passively scrolling and watching the next video that is on their feed. All right, and so it's not really their fault. It's how the system is designed. Yeah. So
I get that, but it's also like at some point it has to be on the person. If you are actually interested in following what someone does, and you are asking the question yourself, are they still? It's like, well, have you looked up? Have you gone and looked to see if they are? That channel may have been taken down, and what? You just didn't look for them again because one channel got taken down? See, this is actually something that is on every single listener. if someone gets taken down and you actually like that person, they see if they're on another platform or anywhere else.
Did you
Don't
just say? Did you just say
and go,
Worcester?
oh, well, I guess they're gone. Never mind.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, considering like Vinny, what you had 65,000 subscribers or something, wasn't it? One stage. Yeah, and now you got what? One and a half.
Great. What was it? 1.3. Yeah, 1.4.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Hey, mate, I've got a quarter of that.
To be honest, my D-Live channel is fucking going well. My YouTube channel, I think after like 4 years or something, has about 150 people or something on it. My D-Live channel in like 5-6 months has about 800.
Yeah. Well, because that's where you do most of your work, shall we say?
Yeah, that's because every time I go live on YouTube, I get banned.
Yeah, I had a video banned from YouTube the other day. I got 2 strikes in a row.
Was that the one that I was on?
No, that was what it was. I
every video that I go on Alan's show,
this
fucking banned.
No, this one wasn't your fault. Because what happened? I was replaying stuff from the Canberra Exposure 28 crew.
Oh, that one. Yeah.
Yeah, and then there was another video that I found where a guy named some of the 28. And I played that.
Named some of the unnameable 28 people
the 28 people
in Australia who have been accused of sexual offences, but because they're all politicians, there is name suppression.
Yeah.
So because he was playing a video where someone else mentioned some of these names, it got taken down.
Oh, I guess I'm lucky they didn't throw me in a gulag. Let's face it.
But see, you didn't say it.
No, yeah, but
you were just showing a video and someone else said it, so your video gets taken down, and they'll be hunting that person down.
Haven't you got a mate that's in jail for sharing a link though?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it. Yeah. That's the real.
Yes. Yeah. Big shout out to my fucking political prisoner friend Nate Symington. He is in jail, and his charges were. I can't actually remember the exact charges. I'll say what he did though. I can't remember what charges they threw at him. But he posted a QR code on his videos, and the QR code was a link to the manifesto and the shooter's video from the mosque shootings in Christchurch, New Zealand. So he actually put a QR code on. He didn't say a direct link. He didn't say what it was for, but he had a QR code on it.
Yeah.
And that's illegal in New Zealand.
Yeah.
So he's in jail. There are other people in this country who are up on the same charges.
Yeah.
Were allowed to fly to Russia, but we won't get into that.
You counterspin.
While on bail, while on charges, we're allowed to fly to Russia, but we won't worry about that. While my mate sits in jail. And his other charge was he shot a banner of Jacinda Ardern. I don't know where they got the banner from, but they got this banner of Jacinda Ardern, put it on post beside like a hill and shit, and just started fucking shooting at it.
Guys.
Yeah, that's political violence.
Well, this New Zealand, I think, is like let's just say that you wanted to create 5 different horrific tyranny-imposing, freedom-destroying laws in your country. You wanted to implement all 5, but you couldn't implement all 5 at once. But what if you implemented one of those policies in 5 countries? The United States, New Zealand, Australia, England, and Canada. And you introduce those ones, and they get approved in each of the 5 countries. And then in each of the 5 countries, you just do a clock cylinder like a caterpillar track. You implement one extra policy each one. Oh, but they've done it. Oh, but they've done it, so then we must do it. And then again and again, before you know it, everybody's got all 5 laws, and nobody realised that there was anything going on. And before I continue, we do have to wrap up the show, guys, and I could talk to you forever, but I have to go and see to my boy, and I want to thank Mr. Bushman for the $10 super chat in the chat room there. He says, get you a coffee, brother. Cheers, brother. Thank you so much. We do need caffeine. We need it. And there is...
haven't you given up coffee?
No, I had it at one point. Let me tell you the story. I went into my naturopath David Holden from holdenhealthcare.com. That's an emphasis on the care. And he says to me, Vinny, the liver, and we've scanned it, is classified from 1 to 3. 3 meaning very bad, 1 meaning very good. Your liver is a 9. Oh damn, so I stopped smoking, I stopped drinking coffee, I stopped eating bad food. I was doing liver cleanse smoothies and everything for like a full-on month there, and then got myself back into a reasonably manageable level of health. And my adrenal glands were like shot, like dead. Like, you ever been in that situation where you're so tired that when you have a coffee nothing happens? Right? It was like that, but all day, every day, right? Yeah. You're just so tired and you can't get untired. That's adrenal fatigue, because when you have caffeine, it excites your adrenal glands, gets them to produce, what's the energy-causing thing? I don't know, I'm getting tired. And then eventually those organs sort of wear out and they need to be cleansed and replaced with a bit of rejuvenation, like a holiday. All right, and that's what David Holden helped me with. So anybody who wants to go to holdenhealthcare.com, emphasis on the care, he might be able to help you too. And he's a specialist in hard to treat cases. He's a naturopathic oncologist. So anybody out there got the big C? And you're going through that medical ringer, and they give you all sorts of drugs and things like that have all sorts of side effects and don't seem to be actually doing anything. Well, David Holden knows that the body has the ability to repair itself provided it's got the right tools. And so that's what he does. He susses you out, figures out what's happening and what needs to be done and what your body needs to repair itself, and then merrily on your way to take responsibility of your own health, because your health is intimately connected with your freedom, as Nicola Grace from Health Freedom New Zealand told me during the swine flu pandemic in, what was that, 2008 or something. Because if you don't have your health, you can't enjoy your freedom. And if you don't have your freedom, you can't enjoy your health. All right? And a lot of us are very, very unhealthy. We've had unhealthy thoughts because we used to believe in the system. We used to not know the things we know now. And the next stage in that is to work on your body health, your mental health, and your spiritual health, and so on and so forth. Knowledge is just one thing that you need. Just one. Because the Buddhists have a saying, before enlightenment, you must chop wood and carry water. And after enlightenment, you must chop wood and carry water. Nothing actually changes because you learned something. You have to put things into action. So, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, if you support the Vinny Eastwood show, do I sound a little bit blocked up in my nose and my nasal passages? I think I'm still got a cold for it.
Not too bad. You're all good, bro.
Yeah, it's a little bit. It's still there. I've had this cold for like 2 months or something. It's just totally.
I know. You've got the monkey pox.
Shh, you'll get me censored. And if you want to support the Vinny Eastwood show, go to the VinnyEastwoodShow.com. That's Vinny with a Y, because it's the most important question in Eastwood. Like, go ahead, make my news. The VinnyEastwoodShow.com. And you can, if you are from New Zealand, donate through the KIWIBANK. and
You crazy land.
We really want those automatic payments to go in there, a cup of coffee a week or a cup of coffee a month, whatever it is. Coffee's necessary for this war effort, I can tell you. And we have also the ability...
I'm glad you're back on the coffee, Vin.
You're not as glad as I am. And if you go to patreon.com, there's a Patreon button at the VinnyEastwoodShow.com, and we've only got 2 Patreons at the moment. I used to have like, I don't know, $1,500 a month coming through Patreon and $3,000 a month coming through YouTube before I got demonetized and then deplatformed and then replaced by people who hadn't been doing alternative media and didn't ask for my help or anything like that. So you know, it's a little bit of a difficult situation, but we'll try to get back to where we could be so that we have resources, right? This is the whole idea of actually having a platform, is that you've got resources. Now, at the end of the man, I love Billy TK. He made me so much like feel like I was actually valued and respected in this movement. It was like virtually the first person of any notoriety to actually give me the respect that I deserve. Not to diminish you two guys, because you've very much got notoriety for being notorious. Now, I for the first time ever at the end of that election, I had money. I was like, what? I didn't even know what to do with it, and I gave it away, right? Shane from Shooter's Bar, he was hosting these freedom parties during COVID and stuff like that, where people couldn't go party anywhere because they didn't have a pass. He held their freedom parties, so I bought him a PA system, so he could actually have people performing there and have people doing speeches and so on and so forth. That's his. And I sent Carl Bromley, who's a guy down in Christchurch, pastor who spoke.
He's left now.
He's gone to the States for a little
bit. He left now after his last run at mayor and shit. After everything that happened and how much the media attacked him, he's actually even left Christchurch.
He went down to Invercargill, and he's regrouping. He's still doing his ministry. I just spoke to him on the phone the other day, and I sent him a cell phone gimbal, because I could tell that when he was out doing his live streams it was a little bit shaky or whatever, so I sent him a cell phone gimbal.
No one sent me one. All my videos are shaky.
Yeah, I know though. He was just at the right place at the right time. And Karina Ruiz from Truth Bombs NZ, who got made famous for yelling, "You don't deserve to be a mother," at Jacinda Ardern. Sent her
well, guys can't be.
Gave her a megaphone and a gimbal. Shane, I also he's still got 2 megaphones as well, like that. So, you know, I've helped raise money for people, like even for Counterspin.
Someone did send me a microphone.
Oh, there you go. And this is the thing. If you've got soldiers out there, soldiers have particular weapons that they can use to great effect on the enemy. Send us equipment.
Thank you, Davey, by the way. He's in chat right now. Thank you, Davey. He was the one who sent me the microphone.
There you go. And this is a part of the underappreciation that the audience gets as well. I mean, I've been trying to be thanking the mods and thanking the donors and all of that. And thank you very much, guys, all of you, for everything that you do. And no matter how big, no matter how small, thank you. You deserve to be recognized. You deserve to be appreciated. And your efforts are recognized. And they are appreciated. And I want you to know
every single time you comment and you are involved with any of our chats, you do realize that we do actually get a dopamine hit from it ourselves, knowing that you are there and you're finding what we're doing interesting. We actually get that dopamine hit from you being here.
Yeah.
So you need to realize that you are what keeps us going.
Yeah. You are our narcissistic supply, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for listening to the Vinny Eastwood show.
But I mean, you said this a long time ago, Vinny. You said that anyone who's streaming has to be at least slightly narcissistic, or you would not put yourself in a position where you think what you're saying is what everyone else needs to hear. So you have to be at least slightly narcissistic to put yourself out there and go, this is what I think.
Well, and again, going back to that point, everybody has narcissistic traits, technically, okay? And what defines narcissism is a love of self. And that's incidentally what defines Satanism. All right, a love of self. Too much love for the self and not enough love for everyone else. Now, it goes on a spectrum. Down one end of the spectrum, you have serial killers like Ted Bundy, who like charm these girls, who's a reasonably handsome guy, and murder them. And in some cases, drive across state lines wearing one of their heads as a hat or some creepy stuff like that. That's way down one end of the spectrum. Way down the other end of the spectrum, you've got Bruce Lee or Muhammad Ali, who are totally full of themselves and totally think they're the shit and can back that shit up.
Yeah.
Okay? That's the difference. Some people are completely fake and they want attention because they never got enough. And some people are completely genuine and they're very good at getting attention because they actually deserve it and they do something that is meaningful and purposeful with it, and they inspire other people to believe in themselves also and to improve themselves. That's down the other end of the spectrum, ladies and gentlemen, and we like to rest right about there. So if this is feeding you, okay, if you come to the end of the show and you feel drained, like I've yelled at you about bone broth for 3.5 hours and interrupt and
Bone broth, all right, yeah. Gotcha.
and constantly interrupt things that people are trying to say, and you come away from it feeling really tired, I've failed in my duty. Okay? You want to come away from the Vinny Eastwood show feeling refreshed. You want to come away from it feeling relaxed and chilled. Like you could listen to it before bed and then go to sleep easily. And you deserve your rest. You deserve some positivity. You deserve a little bit of inspiration. Why do you deserve it, ladies and gentlemen? Because of what you know. Because of what you've been through, because of what people have done to you. That's why you deserve somebody to care. Care at least enough to know that you deserve to be recognized for surviving what you survived, for doing what you're doing to improve yourself and improve humanity. Why? Because you don't give yourself enough credit. You don't. You don't pat yourself on the back enough and think to yourself, you know what? I actually am pretty damn awesome. And you are, ladies and gentlemen. You are. And you need to accept that and just go with it. Thank you very much for listening to the Vinny Eastwood Show. We will be back next week on Ground Zero Radio. Make sure you go to Ground Zero Radio and deliver yourself from tyranny by downloading the MP3s off of the website. Seriously, guys, we've discovered that the downloads from the website came up 1 month, and the network grew exponentially. Like it grew 4 to 5 times faster than we thought of in that month because of the amount of downloads that are happening on it. They're free. Go to the website, find those free downloads, download those shows, help the network to expand. It really, really supports things. Those are the things that you can do if you're free. You can donate. You can become a part of Aftermath Media, where you get to engage in private conversations with the hosts of the network on a monthly basis with Clyde Lewis from Ground Zero. Guys, I'm very, very...
To do that. Actually, what's that one? Aftermath Media.
Aftermath.media.
Because of you, like someone else invited me to another Discord channel because they follow someone else on Ground Zero Radio. So I actually got invited to a Discord channel because people saw me on your channel and you're on Ground Zero. So I got invited to that, but I'm not on the Aftermath Media one yet.
Yeah, and this is how we all contribute and collaborate. All right, if you're doing your own thing, the only thing that's really, at least I've seen, that helps to expand the one thing that you're doing is to collaborate with other people in related fields. Okay, and they will teach you Okay, find your elders, find your mentors, find all those people who have done things that you already want to do, and if it's possible, interview them, get them on your shows, talk to them, and really just let them talk and give you their knowledge, because people who are in this business usually give their knowledge away. They give it to you for free, and that knowledge is so valuable that it's incalculable. Okay? You have no idea what enlightenment somebody's going to drop on you. All you need to do is listen with your two ears more often than you speak with your one mouth. And then you will become enlightened. And then you can go and carry some water and chop some wood. All right, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to the Vinny Eastwood Show. And we will see you again next time at the Vinny Eastwood Show.
Gentlemen, I've brought you here to discuss the Eastwood problem.
It may be necessary to penetrate the Vinny Eastwood Show.
The Vinny Eastwood Show.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Oh, I've been working on a new Vinny scene. I think that might be the kind of penetration we need.
The Vinny Eastwood Show. Sundays, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Live on Ground Zero Radio.
Welcome, ladies, gentlemen, and hermaphrodites. My fellow slaves of the global plantation. The Vinny Eastwood Show is bad news. It's like the news, but so much worse. It's the lighter side of genocide. Just because we're being exterminated doesn't mean we can't enjoy it. Otherwise, what's the point of being killed? The Vinny Eastwood Show, where the only thing worse than living in a high-tech global police state run by child trafficking Satanists is Vinny's jokes.
You see, this beastly, ghastly show has been exposing our Scumbaggery, which we call necessary.
Yeah, and as the World Economic Führer, I believe we should give him a little gift with a little card that says Merry Christmas from Santa Claus.
Oh, yeah, we could send something through his windows. Yeah, I've been speaking with Jacinda Ardern that we need to eliminate the threat of Vinny Eastwood.
Why do you say Vinny Eastwood when it's clearly Vinny Eastwood?
Absolutely, he's a major impediment to our planet. It's just how are we going to get rid of him?
We could poison his water supply.
We've done that already.
Okay, I'm running out of ideas here. I'm sorry, I've got a lot going on. Klaus Schwab Jr. telling people that I'm some evil overlord.
Oh, that's just not true. You see, we're lifetime actors.
Yes, we play the role, don't we?
But I am still glad, even if I am not really the overlord, that I have penetrated all the cabinets of the world. Penetration is big for me.
Oh, it's big for me, too. I wouldn't be me if it weren't for the copious quantities of penetration.
Yes, well, thank God my mother's out of the way. Otherwise, I never would have been king. Just keep to go on and on. You know, the stress of dealing with this Vinny Eastwood problem has probably what killed her. I mean, she was a very young 96, you see.